Welcome to the first episode of Migraine Free TV. I am your host, Anthony Coco, and this is a place where we'll share the tips, the tactics, and the strategies to help you create a life free from migraines and headaches. In the inaugural episode, I'm going to kick off with a topic that is near and dear to many of us. 5 ways to not let your migraines destroy your intimate relationships. So regardless if you are the sufferer or the significant other, being in a relationship with someone who experiences migraines and headaches is not easy. It's downright difficult and complicated. It takes work. But just as you know, like a garden, when you get sunshine, water, and you give it the required care and attention, you'll be able to reap a wonderful harvest. Chronic illness can bring a whole new dynamic to the relationship that, if not handled accordingly, can destroy couples and families. There can be extreme stress, relationship conflicts, misunderstandings, communication breakdowns, shifts in roles, increased responsibilities, and new boundaries that must be honored. From my own personal experience, migraines and headaches challenged my self-esteem and caused me to develop cognitive distortions. I was filled with tremendous anxiety, depression, resentment, and helplessness. I believe that each one of these emotions and health conditions are common, but they do not have to be permanent. They are part of the growing process. But if left unchecked, they can spiral out of control. But we're here today to not let a migraine destroy your most intimate relationships. So what I know to be true is this: breaking free from migraines and headaches forces you to dig deep. I mean way deep. Sharing with your partner takes vulnerability, which can develop into a special and meaningful relationship. You're truly working together to restore your health and well-being. Yes, it's a process, but if you're both in it together, your relationships will be able to withstand those rough times. You'll gain a newfound appreciation for one another. It can be as if you two are being reinvented in the process. But to be successful, you must start with number 1. Share your symptoms, your triggers, your boundaries, and your thoughts. Your partner is not a mind reader. Chances are he or she does not know what you are experiencing. If light is a trigger, express it. If certain foods are a trigger, express it. If you need time to decompress, meditate, or need your dedicated chair time, then express those boundaries. Be candid. Share where you are. Go about it in a way that creates a working relationship. Can't be one-sided, which will make your partner feel overwhelmed, and if he or she is forced to make constant changes. This is how you create that eggshell relationship. If you have to brain dump, do it on paper. It's up to you to determine how much you share. I mean, after all, you know your significant other best. Number 2, practice EQ, which is emotional intelligence. I believe that this is absolutely critical for you and your partner, because pain knows no logic, reasoning, or concern. If you're in serious pain, you may fly off the handle if your significant other triggers a headache or does something to make it worse. And without a doubt, this is one of my downfalls, and it took quite some time. It took tremendous patience, practice, and a slow tongue. And with that being said, there's a good way and a bad way to communicate. The good way to go about it would be something like, I'm trying to understand my triggers, and I think that this might be one. Can you help me turn down the volume, buy a new laundry detergent, change the cologne or perfume, whatever else applies to that situation. Another one could be, in the past, I used to get down on myself. Whenever I got a migraine and couldn't be present, I always felt like a burden or felt like I was letting you down. I appreciate you. If this should happen, know that's nothing against you. Please support me with standing up for my health and well-being. I thank you in advance. Key point, you should never talk down to your partner or chastise them for not understanding. This goes both ways. There'll be another video on this topic where I'm going to share some more of my personal experiences and insights. But for now, this brings us to the third point. Number 3, invest in resources. There are many different resources that can help you, from people who have been there or trained professionals who are equipped with that right knowledge. Whether it's counseling, some courses, books, there are countless resources available to help you grow in the areas that your relationship most requires. The 2 that have helped me in my relationship are the 5 love languages and the Love Dare. The first, 5 Love Languages, is a book written by Gary Chapman. It highlights 5 different ways you show and receive love. This can be through acts of service, physical touch, quality time, receiving gifts, and words of affirmation. 100%, this book was a game changer. I highly recommend it. It shifted the way that we communicate. We are now conscious of each other, and it has taken our relationship from here to here. The second, The Love Dare, is based off the movie Fireproof, starring Kirk Cameron. Cameron was in a failing marriage, and the Love Dare was a resource given to him by his dad that provides 40 days of selfless acts for your partner. I remember day 1, love is patient. Today's dare was to demonstrate patience and to say nothing negative to your significant other. Another was on day 18, love seeks to understand. Today's dare is to prepare a special dinner at home for just the two of you and talk about the areas that are rarely discussed. Get to know your significant other better. I'm telling you, give these a try if you haven't. They are wonderful resources. And as you're growing, working on communication, improving the dynamic, that brings us to number 4. Know your roles and responsibilities. Who's going to do what chores? And what will happen if a migraine or headache steps in? In some cases, it may seem as if the relationship is one-sided, depending on how severe your pain is. Once you're aware of your symptoms and your triggers, you can plan accordingly. If you're allergic to dust, just like I was, dusting or vacuuming may not be the best responsibility, as it can trigger a headache. If smells are a trigger, then you might want to have the responsibility where you are controlling the sense. Either way, this will be for you and your partner to discuss and experiment with. But speaking of experimenting, we go into number 5, which is get creative with your relationship. Date nights are essential. However, if you're like me, they can be a dreaded experience. So if you're unable to go out, then bring the party home. There are hundreds of different ideas on Pinterest and blogs that can get you creative and help your relationship experience much needed fun. Remember, you must be aware of your significant other's symptoms and triggers. There's nothing worse than planning something and causing a migraine or a headache. It'll take the air right out of the balloon and leave it deflated. There's another good activity for you to work with your partner. These are not the end-all be-all solutions for every relationship. Some partners are better designed to be there and support you, whereas some are not. Additionally, this process may be the deciding factor to determine whether or not your relationship will work. But either way, you have to put yourself first. So I'm looking forward to hearing the comments and to hearing any other ideas that may have helped you in the past. Thanks for tuning in.